OMG, you guys. Before we get into the episode, there are just a few things I just want to clarify with you. Don't click away. Hold on. Stay right here. Most of the people who watch me are not subscribed. Look at the little analytical here. Do you see that? Sad to me, because the people who are not subscribed can get notifications when I post. And you know what I think? You shouldn't be on social media that much. So click that little subscribe button for me and click that bell icon so you can you get a little notification when I post. Okay? Please, for me. Also, if you like what I say, you love what I say, and you want me to continue, please consider buying me a tea. I have in the description a little place. It's Buy Me a Coffee. It's like early 2000s thing. If you love what I say, anything you could give, even a view would be appreciated. But if you could give me just a little tea, I can justify continuing this. Thank you, and enjoy the episode. What's poppin', homies? And welcome to Stav's True Plan, the podcast where we have another guest. Look who it is. Introduce yourself.
My name is Foula. I know Stavro from school here at Wayne State. We actually met through the HSA club, so that's a Hellenic Student Association.
We're Greeks.
We are
You could tell.
Greek people. We're just Greeks. We're proud of our culture.
Mm-hmm.
But I had started the club during the pandemic when I transferred over here from Schoolcraft. And then once we started getting students joining, that's how I met Stavro. And here we are now on the podcast.
Yeah, now we're talking. Hey, listen, everyone's got a podcast, but not everyone has a movement like I would do. That's what I like to say. And today we got a really interesting topic. I don't know its formal name. I don't know what to call it per se, because I find myself I like an idea, but an idea is a paragraph. Maybe we need a sentence.
We do.
What would you think is a good title? Like a nice little ribbon on what we can talk about today.
I don't know. Honestly,
how fitness can improve more than just the physical.
That or even how physical fitness can improve your internal self or something along the lines of
something
that.
More than surface level, because what I see a lot of people do in the gym, and it really pisses me off, is that a lot of people train for aesthetics.
They do.
Oh my God. You see a lot of people, and people don't find meaning when they're in the gym. I think a big motivator for me is what I've been through with my surgeries, and when I go to the gym, I go for revenge. Listen, it's what I've been through with my surgeries, but for me, I get a lot of mental gains, you could say. I feel very focused and amazing, but not to continue. We need to get to what they did say in the past, because I think it's really important. Now this is Plato's Republic. Just a little snippet. I think nothing to bore you, but I just wanted to show that fitness is not so new. Let's just say. Fitness and I guess going to the gym, being sort for gymnastic, is actually you know what I'm about to say, right?
I do.
It's a Greek word, okay?
It is.
It comes from the Greek word gymnastiki. So, just saying, we didn't invent everything, but we damn near did. I mean,
let's be honest, we really did.
Damn near. We invented the math that I hate so fucking much.
I hate math. I am not a math person. I can do 1 + 1, 2 + 2, but once you start going to statistics, all that advanced stuff, forget it.
But why did we do that?
I don't know.
Anyway, so this is an excerpt from The Republic. In The Republic, what Plato does and what he makes Socrates talk about is figuring out what the ideal society would look like and how its laws would look like. But in this section, he talks about how the people should be. So they're talking about how they should educate their youth. And they say that you should teach based on musiki.
Which is music. another Greek word that.
Man,
it's all Greek.
It's all Greek.
How they say it's just all Greek to me.
It's all Greek to me.
Is.
It is. It's no joke. But how it's very interesting because how music can teach you math in some odd way. Gymnastiki it's beyond the physical. So here's what they said. After music, our youth are to be educated by gymnastics? Certainly. In this too, they must be carefully trained from boyhood through life. And the way of it is this, I believe. But consider it yourself too, for my part, do not believe that a sound body by its excellence makes the soul good, but on the contrary, that a good soul by its virtue renders the body the best that is possible. He continues more. Then if we should sufficiently train the mind and turn it over to I don't know why they turn shit into Greeklish because I cannot.
That good old Greeklish.
Fuck that shit. Okay, so they like to over embellish, but at the root of what they were trying to say and what they were trying to bring up is that it's true that, going to the gym and your gains it's a very physical change. But not only that it's much more of a physical change, it also is good for the soul spiritually. And it's also very good for, listen, this is not a philosophy podcast only. It's a mental health podcast. And I think there's a lot of toxicity that comes into the gym because going to the gym when you're a part of a community of people going to the gym, everyone is there for a similar goal. I can't say everyone's there for the same or for the right reasons. But what we want to do is improve ourselves. And I've seen a lot of recent toxicity that maybe you want to perhaps shed some light on. Like, what have you seen recently in our gyms that have been quite toxic and damaging to, I guess, the culture?
Well, honestly, so I work at the vitamin shop. I'm a key holder there right now. So we deal with supplements. We deal with a lot of athletes that come in, a lot of young ones, maybe like around 18 older, basically that kind of
maybe
age
even
range.
younger because
even
fitness
younger too.
In middle school.
Yeah, we've had 13-year-olds call asking they can take creatine, which I do not recommend taking any kind of supplement under the age of 18 unless you ask your doctor.
That's the most wise thing.
Yeah.
Because people are not talking about trend,
the amount of people we get in our store talking about that jokingly, it's crazy.
You think it's jokingly. They're not fucking around.
No, I guarantee you a lot of people are on some kind of trend or some kind of...
Right.
Something like that.
Something. Some little...
I'm not gonna be judgy, but
No, we're not judging. We're not judging.
We can tell. But we get a lot of people coming in there with that kind of ego, and you can tell right off the bat. Like, I'm really good at reading people. I can just like by looking at somebody or just talking to them, I can read them very easily. And a lot of the people that we had in, they just have that ego. Like, oh, I'm a beast. I'm better at the gym. I can do this. I can do that. So even working out, because I used to be consistent all the time. I was going 5 days a week. I think I started off 7, but I cut it down because I knew I was doing too much.
Yeah.
So I started going 5 days a week. But the biggest thing that I noticed going to the gym is a lot of people just have that big ego. Like, for example, so this one time I was working out at the gym with my sister. And I watch a lot of YouTube videos, and I still do now, like on exercises, like ways to do it, ways to have better gains with your muscles, and especially now because I just started back up a few days ago going to the gym, so I'm just now getting back into the routine of things.
Yeah. What has changed since you've left? Now that you're arriving back, have you seen anything particularly different about the community and people?
I think, I go to Planet Fitness by my house, and I go during the day, and the biggest thing I notice is during the day, people are more mellow. You really don't get a lot of those beefcake type of guys that just
they come after 6.
Oh yeah,
and
like they think they're better than everybody else, and that was the biggest thing because I was going after 6. I was going late at night because of work. It only made sense for me to go at night, so I was like, let me get my workout in, let me get it done. I'll just do it. But the one day when I was there with my sister, I was doing a stiff leg deadlift. So when you're doing a stiff leg deadlift, it's a slight bend at the knee. So your legs aren't fully straight. It's a slight bend.
Because then you'll be more prone to overextension.
Yeah. And we were using the Smith machines that they have. So you just lower the bar all the way down and you just deadlift.
Yeah.
And the way I was doing it, and I'm not like that type of person to be like, oh yeah, I'm right, I'm doing this right. Like if I'm wrong about an exercise, please criticize me and tell me the right way to do it.
For sure, of course. Do you pride yourself on your form? Because I think form is king.
I do.
I do too.
Form is everything, because the biggest thing that I've noticed is if you're not doing your forms right, physically you can feel like something's off. Like if you're supposed to be working out, like your back, for example, if you're trying to work your traps, or say you're trying to work your biceps, but you feel it in your tricep area, or you feel it just in a spot that's not supposed to be, your form's off.
Yeah, maybe your arm's not where they're supposed to be, or maybe your ego lifting.
That too. And when it comes to form, if you don't have the right form, a lot of times what can happen is you can cause self-injury.
Oh, of course.
And once you injure yourself, especially when it comes to physical fitness, it's not fun to heal from. It's debilitating. It really is. And I remember the guy, he came up to us and he's like, let me show you how to do this, which I appreciated. I know he had like the right intentions, but he's like, you're doing it wrong. And in my head, I'm like, I'm really not. I'm doing it exactly how I saw in the video, exactly how they said. And he was like, your leg's not supposed to be straight. You have to have a slight bend. And I'm like, I have a slight bend. But he was like one of those guys, just like one of those bigger beefcake type of guys, just has that ego, like he's better than everybody, like he knows it all. And you notice it a lot. You don't even have to talk to somebody to notice it. You can just tell by looking at them, they have that ego.
They have that air around them.
They do.
It is. And going to the gym and having your gains is one of the greatest pleasures for me. And I like to live my life by pleasure. I love that, because I think that's a great meaning to life, is kind of learning who you are and what your pleasures can be. And I've talked about this before. I talked about it in my podcast of what makes a pleasure bad and stuff like that. And the basically like the thesis of that is a pleasure is bad when it stops you from being good. And the good is basically happiness and virtue. Like your morals are intact. And that is philosophically what the good is. And I noticed that a lot of fitness strays people far from the good. It's almost, the toxic nature is so wild to me. It's so crazy. And everyone's a critic. And everyone is a personal trainer. And everyone is a nutrition trainer. And you know where it's worst? Our For You pages.
Oh, yeah. I agree. And you actually just reminded me of something, too. So that's the other thing I noticed, too. So social media and I'm not saying social media is bad. It's okay to have social media, but it's better to have a healthy relationship with it. Yeah. But when it comes to, like, physical aspects of it, people see it, like, say, for example, you follow a fitness influencer. And say this person has a certain physique, and you're like, oh, I want to get there. I want to do that. Depending who you're talking to, you might get somebody that's actually going to tell you, oh, you have to do this routine, or you have to eat this much food. I mean, a lot of the time, that's because that's the routine that they're doing. Yeah. And what people don't realize, I feel like I'm not in the frame still.
No, you're good. You're in the frame.
But what people don't realize is that everybody's body is different.
Oh, yeah.
You require certain nutrients, you require a certain amount of calories, certain amount of macronutrients like proteins, carbs, fats. Everybody is different. And it's the same thing with the workout regimen. Like for me, for example, I could do 4 sets of 15 pull-ups. Yeah. Well, if I'm training somebody that's just starting out, I can't have them do that because they physically cannot do that. They're just starting out.
Exactly.
So the thing with social media is people kind of create the wrong idea because they see somebody else doing it. So in their head, they're like, oh, they're doing that. I can do that.
And they make a lot of harmful promises, too.
They do. And a lot of it, too, is the same thing with supplements. And you probably notice this, too. Like, when you follow influencers, instead of them being like, oh, take this brand or this brand, they'll give you the brand that they're sponsored with because that's their sponsor. So
yeah, it's all for money, really.
It really is. It's a money game. And just like my sister has said before, money is the root of all evil. And it truly is, because a lot of people just have that mindset. They're like, oh, I can make money. Like, I need this money. I need that money. Let me sell this product. Let me sell you this regimen. And half the time, that regimen's not going to work.
Yeah.
It's not for that person.
It's truly an empty promise. But you made a good point about money. And this episode is not about money. But I think really everything really comes down to money because of how much of it is valued in our society. I wouldn't say, because I want to give people the benefit of the doubt. The search for that money is what makes people so evil.
Yeah.
But how much of it is intertwined in our society? How much things cost? I get it, but
real.
It's terrible though. It's terrible, but going back to, I guess, the good, and when it comes to fitness, when can fitness and the journey for somebody, when can it stray away from that? How does a journey look like when it's good? How can people do it in a way that's virtuous and good and makes people happy?
A lot of that is about mindset, honestly. Like, you have to have the right mindset. Like, you can't just sit and start a routine and just be like, oh, I'm doing this because someone else is. Like, you have to physically want to do that. You have to mentally want to do that. You have to do that for you and not for somebody else, because this is about you. This is your journey.
Yeah.
So the biggest thing for me is having that mindset. Because if you don't have the mindset, your journey is just going to be like
that's true.
It's not going to be a straight line. And a lot of times they say time is not linear, but it's kind of the same concept with a journey. Everybody's journey is not linear.
No.
It goes side to side all the time. It's scattered. It's not a straight line. Things always happen. But I feel like when it comes to physical health, I feel like it can be a straight line if you're on the right path, if you have the right mindset, if you have the right intentions.
That's true. Mindset can carry all.
It does.
It can, but I think people are just generally too hyper aware of their track.
They are. I agree.
And any for me, I can say for me that any time that we're like let's say like I'm trying to lose weight, right? And if I like to weigh myself every day and then just kind of see like what I'm doing, maybe I'm retaining a little water, maybe honestly, today I gained weight from yesterday. So for me, I'm going on a straight path and then I've diverted a little bit. But I'm so hyper aware of where that line is going. I'm like scrutinizing it almost. And that is, I think for me, it's so damaging. So terribly damaging.
And speaking of with the scale, I think that's another thing too, is a lot, and this is not everybody, it just depends who you're talking to, but a lot of people have an unhealthy relationship with the scale.
Oh my God.
And a lot of it ties back to social media, because you see people on there with a certain body type, but what people don't realize, this didn't happen overnight for somebody.
No.
I mean, if you got the money, I'm sure you can do procedures, which no judgment there. People are entitled to do what they want. But when it comes to physical fitness, it doesn't happen overnight.
No.
That's a journey.
No, and that's what sucks about that social media, is because it appears overnight.
It does.
It appears in a moment.
Yeah.
You can see like how they were like so obese.
Yeah.
And then they're like transformation video, and then they're like cut. They're like, listen, that's easily a year.
It is.
That's a year difference between that picture, at least.
If not more. And the other thing, too, with that is a lot of people use filters. A lot of people, what's that one app? Photoshop.
Yeah.
A lot of people can Photoshop stuff, and I've seen it before. You can very easily tell if you pay attention to detail.
Oh my
you can
God.
tell when somebody alters their photos. Like I like filters. I've used them before, but not to the extreme where it's like so off, you know?
Oh my God, yeah.
But going back to the scale, it's like, because you see how somebody looks online, then you're like, oh, I have to look like that. And then you go on the scale and you're like, oh, no, I'm too big for that. No, you're not.
Yeah.
You're on your own journey. Your journey is not going to happen overnight. You're not going to lose weight overnight.
That's true.
Like me, I have no shame to say that since COVID, I have gained 30 pounds. Me, physically, I can see it because I look at myself every day in the mirror.
Yeah.
But other people probably can't tell as much because they don't see me all the time.
Fuck that mirror.
I hate that mirror. That mirror, I swear, it's kind of like the cameras.
It adds pounds.
It adds 10 pounds. I swear it does. But it's kind of like that concept. Like, that's why I don't really weigh myself at all. Like, and if I wanted to, I could weigh myself every day. But I want to have a healthy relationship with the scale. I don't want to sit and go on the scale and be like, oh, and this is just an example, this is not what I weigh, but like, say I'm 200 pounds today, 206 tomorrow, 205 the next day. What am I doing wrong? And it kind of goes back.
And in reality, nothing. Maybe you
Yeah.
didn't. Maybe you didn't have a good shit that morning.
Yeah, it could be that. Constipation is a thing.
Mm-hmm.
It could be water retention. A lot of people do hold water.
Yeah, a lot of people.
And-
Sodium is the killer for that because
it really
and
is.
it is hidden in our diets like nothing else.
Because that's the thing, too. It dehydrates you, and then that's what dries everything up inside over there, and you're just
Mm-hmm.
going to be completely constipated. But the other thing, too, is it depends what you eat. So, say, and like for me, if I get bored or if I'm, like, stressed out, I'll eat. And sometimes
Mm-hmm.
it's late at night. But depending on what you eat, if you go to bed right away, your body's not going to digest it. You're asleep.
Yeah.
Once you're asleep, your body's at rest mode.
Mm-hmm.
It's not functioning, like, as far as digesting food. It's not going to do that because you're at rest.
Yeah.
It'll pick that back up once you wake up. So when you wake up and you look in the mirror and you're like, "Oh, I'm bloated."
Yeah.
Well, that's why, because you ate last night.
You had a late ass snack last
Yeah.
night. Intermittent fast, bitch.
Yeah, like me. Last night, I had some Little Caesars. There's nothing wrong with Little Caesars, and
No.
that kind of goes back to the whole.
We're all human.
Yeah, and it kind of goes back to the whole thing where, like, having healthy relationships with stuff like that. It's okay to have a strict diet. It's okay to have a strict workout routine. It's okay to hold yourself accountable, but don't do it to the extreme of where you're getting bored or where you're getting stressed out or fatigued and you hate your diet and your routine.
Exactly that.
To
And
the point where you want to stop.
exactly that, and not even that. It's also okay to stray off every once in a while because that's more than human. Because for me, say for example, like I'm strict with my diet, right? But let's say I want some za. I want some
Yeah.
za. But in my mind, I can't have za.
Yeah.
I'm working on myself right now. I can't have za. But realistically, I could have one za a week.
Yeah.
I can allow myself that. But for me, when I have that za, then it turns into something else. Like if you give a mouse a cookie, you know what I mean?
Right.
If you give somebody a slice of pizza, they're gonna want ranch.
Right.
And if you give them ranch, they might want a little crazy bread.
Guilty.
And if you give them crazy
But-
bread, they might want some Coke.
Listen, that crazy bread is so good.
Oh.
Oh my God, that crazy bread.
To get off the tangent a little bit, I thought about this in my other podcast that I made as well. But Plato talked about something called the forms, and it's kind of like what the ideal way an object can look. So like, say for example, we know we have an idea in our mind what a perfect chair looks like. It's in our mind. It's in a reality that doesn't exist. It doesn't truly exist, but it only exists conceptually in our minds and maybe in another world, right? But there are chairs, and they're pretty good chairs, but
Yeah.
there might not be the perfect chair. But what I think people are doing now, and with social media, and that's why I think it's the worst, because at
Yeah.
least back in the day, what we saw as physique was only in the magazine or television, and we didn't watch TV all day. You got called lazy for that,
Right.
you know?
Yeah, we were outside playing as kids. We were doing fun things.
Yeah, we watched TV when we maybe when we're eating or something like that. But now, what? It's a small ass TV that can
Yeah.
go anywhere, and mine gets even smaller.
It does.
So that sucks.
It looks kind of cool though. Not gonna lie.
It was cool. I mean, it is cool, but anyway. So say for example, now people know what the ideal physique should look like. But the most damaging thing about that is that idea just doesn't mesh because there is no such thing as an ideal physique that encompasses everybody. People actually need to know what the form, what maybe can't exist, what they should look like. And you don't know that because you're trying to come out here and look like other people. But what does the perfect version of you look like? You might not never know, but you can get pretty damn close to it.
Oh yeah.
And you can see other people's form, when they do transformation videos, when they're like they're huge, they're overweight, they're just all kinds of, they got hypertension, high blood pressure, and then they go and they do this transformation. See, he looked to his form, what a perfect version of him would look like, and then tried to replicate that. But how do you know? You don't know exactly because it's all genetics.
It is.
It's sometimes like my bicep genetics is different from my buddy's bicep genetics. Like I have a more fuller lower bicep, and he's got the bicep. You know the one that's like, you know what I'm talking about. The one that looks kind of like it's like low in the front, and then it goes like that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
That's not what my bicep looks like. But a lot of people have different bicep genetics, and to see someone in their perfect form, and by the way, not even perfect. We're human. We shit. Okay,
Right.
we're not perfect. Okay, but the problem is that
Yeah.
I think it's that. What do you think about that?
I have to agree because, okay, so for example, so I was born in 95, so growing up in the 90s, it was all, and we were just talking about this earlier before we started recording.
Yeah.
But growing up, we were always outside. We were always playing games with our neighborhood friends, like all the neighborhood kids in the area. Sometimes we would like ride our bikes around the area.
Yeah.
Sometimes we would just play sports in the backyard, whether it was like basketball, soccer, like something small like that. We were always outside.
Yeah, always.
And I'm making no judgment to parents. Everybody can parent how they want now. We're in 2023. It's not the 90s anymore.
That's true.
But a lot of the kids now you see, and including us, I mean, we all have phones. I mean, we can't deny it. We have them. But a lot of the kids you see now is just constantly on their tablets.
Oh my
just,
God,
as a
yeah.
distraction.
And that tablet raises them.
It does.
It's not the parent. It's lazy parenting. And
Yeah.
then they learn at a younger age damaging ways to cope with things. They ingest content. You know what? Back in my day, my Nintendo DS had parental controls.
Yeah.
Am I gonna look up porn on my DSi?
Right.
Parental controls on the DS, and we don't even we give them these, which have, by the way, way more things to do on
Yeah.
your phone than you can do on a DS. But my DS, my iPod, parental controls, where is that right now?
Right.
That's the biggest issue for me. And then now you have people younger having more mental problems than ever. Look, listen, I won't ever be out of business, so I have to thank them for their terrible parenting.
Right.
But I wish it wasn't my job. It's not my job to parent your children.
Right.
But if they stumble on my video, I pray to God they do.
Right.
Because the younger generations right now, they are fucked. Listen, there wasn't therapists forever. You know what?
Yeah.
You know, my mom was just saying this the other day. My mom was like, listen, when we were young, we didn't have no therapists. We just went on with our lives.
Yeah.
Terrible. But we've come to a point where it's almost like we're unable to do what we know what we could probably do on our own.
I agree.
And not everyone can afford therapy.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think a lot of it, too, is it's just like 'cause you're constantly sitting all day. And if you're sitting for long periods of time,
Listen,
that's how, like,
fitness, talk
yeah.
about it,
Yeah,
because
'cause, like, that's how you mess up your body. You mess up your back. That's how you gain the weight. That's how, it's kind of like how we were saying with a lot of things can be genetics. Like, for women in general, physically, we have a harder time losing weight in our stomach area. And a lot of that is due to hormones, because women have crazy hormones compared to men. And,
Yeah.
and that's just science. That's just how it is. It's a
you
fact.
can't get rid of that.
Yeah, and it sucks, but a lot of it too has to do with genetics, because if, say, in your family you have fast metabolism, well, then you can lose weight quicker.
God bless those
You
people,
won't
by the
gain
way.
easy. But if you have a slow metabolism, which is what I have, and obviously no blame on anybody, it's genetics. You can't do anything about that.
Yeah.
But it's harder for me to lose weight, but it's easy
Exactly.
for me to gain weight, and it's usually just the stomach area or the thigh area, like all those very obvious areas to gain it.
Yeah.
But when you're sitting all day and for extensive periods of times, you're just sitting there. So say you want pizza, since we were talking about pizza.
Some za.
It's so good. Especially from Little Caesars. You know, if you're going to grab yourself some pizza and you grab yourself some breadsticks, grab yourself a pop if you want, and you're going to sit on the couch, whether it's on your tablet, your phone, or just watching TV, you're probably going to be there for an hour or so.
Not to mention, everything that you said is almost easily over 3,000 calories.
Oh,
Let's just say that right now. I think a Little Caesars pizza has 2K.
I would agree.
I think around there.
Yeah.
And that's like what they say daily. And
Yeah.
if you're sedentary, you're not losing weight on 2,000 calories.
Yeah, absolutely
You're
not. And
You're
especially if you're sitting, because it's calories in, calories out. And for example,
You read my mind.
Say I was on a 1,200 calorie diet,
Mm-hmm.
and that's just to drop a few pounds. And I'm working out 2-3 days a week.
Yeah.
Well, that's fine if I work out 2-3 days a week and keep up with my diet. But on that cheat day, say I have 3,000 calories, but I only burn 200 calories, there's no weight drop there.
Ooh, yeah.
And I feel like that's the biggest misconception people have, is they think, oh, just because I change my diet or just because I change my regimen, I can lose weight. You can't lose weight if you're not doing the work. It's diet, it's exercise, it's lifestyle. All three of those have a connection, and if you're not doing all three at the same time, you're not really going to see results.
It's hard, but a lot of people don't want to put in the work. They want just a simple solution, like how people are looking towards, like trend, for example. Or for me, now this is hard for me to say, but I had a really big problem with my weight. So, and my our metabolism is almost prehistoric. It's absolute garbage. And I don't eat.
Not to interrupt, but low key, I feel like that's a lot of Greek people.
Oh,
I
Christ.
swear.
And it's not even, we don't even eat bad. A lot of Greek food is vegan, vegetarian.
Yeah. I feel like, too, though, it's like a lot of how, like, we grew up, too. Because, like, I remember.
The manipulation is not even.
Yeah, because then you have, like, your which is grandma in Greek. You have them like, oh, like, you want to eat? And I'm like, no, I'm stuffed. Oh, here, eat some more. But then it's like you don't want to say no because you feel bad because they made the effort to make it for you.
Not only that, my mom tells me stories about how she couldn't leave the table unless her whole plate was finished.
Right.
We need to normalize eating with smaller plates.
Yeah.
Or being okay not eating everything, because
absolutely,
that's one of the most unhealthy relationships with food I've ever heard, and I have that problem.
Yeah.
It's a great big issue. So, man, my ADHD fucked up. I don't know what I was talking about before that.
I think you were talking about like with your weight and stuff.
Yeah. Okay. So with my weight loss, I had to take an appetite suppressant because I couldn't shut my mouth because I would eat and eat. So I lowered my appetite. Right. So it's actually the reason why my hair's thinning right now. The medicine stopped my hair growth. And you know what? I know certainly that if I hadn't taken that, I would have been just fine, because it's all really just not only willpower, it is discipline. And if you lack discipline and you have to have a medicine do that for you, well, that's unnatural.
Yeah.
That can't be. And that's what I hate, because like nowadays how there's people doing these little recipes and shit, and then people promising these things like, oh, if you do this, you lose weight, or this is how I lost weight, this is what I ate. And I'm all for a recipe. Listen, I found a cool protein cake for my little sweet tooth, but that cake in and of itself was 400 calories. Yeah. So now I gotta cut the cake, and I'm like, I want to eat the whole fucking cake. Right. So people are very misleading with that, like, oh, this is what I did, thanks for the advice, but like, no thanks.
Yeah. And it's kind of like how we talked about when it's like everybody's body is different. And I think, and right now, forget about Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat. The biggest issue right now is TikTok.
Oh, and I will tell you, everyone's on there.
And working retail, I will tell you, once TikTok trends go around, things fly off the shelves like that. Like right now, it's been creatine, and there's this product called OxyShred from EHP Labs. Yeah. I believe it's a pre-workout, but
it's a little old school?
It is, yeah. But it's got a thermogenic in it. And thermogenic is basically burns body fat in your body. So like you'll probably feel like, I want to say it's probably a heating sensation, like a warm type of feeling, and that's the thermogenic working in your body. But that went viral on social media, so now everybody's using it. But the problem with that is anybody can tell you this works, but that doesn't mean it works for you. Like me personally, I know my body, I know how it is, and I know if I were to get OxyShred just because it's viral on TikTok, that's not going to work for me. No. I already know right off the bat it's not going to do anything for my body, because I know my body.
Does it really burn fat, or what does it really do?
Well, the thing when it comes to supplements, and this is where people have, again, the wrong idea, and I don't blame people for it. It's just people aren't educated on this stuff unless they're into this stuff.
That's true.
So supplements are exactly what they are. It's a supplement. It's not meant to replace nutrients. Yeah. It's not meant to replace anything. It's simply meant to support, almost. I feel like support's a pretty good word for that.
Yeah, it is.
But that's kind of the same thing with that. So say somebody were to come into my store and they wanted a fat burner. The first thing I'd be asking them is, what's your current regimen? Are you eating right? Are you exercising? If they tell me no to either or, I'm going to be forward with them, because and that's the difference between me and the difference between a lot of supplement companies is, depending who you have working for you and the type of company it is, you're either going to have somebody that's going to be straightforward and honest, or you're going to have somebody beat around the bush just to sell you something. Yeah. And
it's all too often that you see that.
It is, and that's why for me, I would never do that to somebody. Like, I'm not going to tell you to buy something just to sell a product.
No,
like, absolutely not.
And that's a terrible problem. Is that you like listen, if a doctor wouldn't tell you, if
Yeah.
a doctor wouldn't recommend it,
Right.
forget about it.
Exactly. And if they were to tell me like, oh no, I don't eat that good, or I don't exercise at all, the first thing I'm going to tell you is this is not going to work for you.
Yeah.
This is not going to burn body fat alone. You have to put in the work.
It's a shame that
Yeah.
there are even like you can buy fat burners, because there is a fat burner. It's you.
Yeah.
You're the fat burner. Your body's a fat burner or a fat adder.
Yeah.
How much do you eat, bitch?
Right, exactly. And the other thing too is, and people don't know this, but supplements are not FDA approved, and the reason why they're not FDA approved is because, like when we're talking about medicine's FDA approved because it's from research, and from like how they did the research, like depending how, like the group of people, the age range, etc. Depending on what kind of research they did, it's proven to work. Supplements are proven to work, but there's not enough research for it to be
Yeah.
FDA approved.
The only really that's been like really like studied is creatine.
It really is. And with creatine too, that's like one of those supplements where like even if, and I mean, it helps to work out, because if you want to use creatine, a lot of people use it as a muscle builder. And creatine, which is actually, I have notes over here because I want to make sure I touch on certain things.
Nice. Okay.
But with creatine, it's one of the well-known products in the industry. It's the most researched product.
Yeah.
Not only that, creatine is something your body naturally produces.
I know this. Yeah.
So it's already in your system, but it doesn't produce enough to help you recover your body.
Yeah.
That's why a lot of times when you work out, you have muscle soreness, because your body is not equipped to produce enough.
Yeah.
And that also depends on the person too. Everybody's body is different.
That's why I like to
But-
take it after my training.
But people in general, I'm going to be playing with these a lot because they don't.
Oh, you're good. I want to get
earbuds
two
never
of these,
say.
but they're pricey.
Oh, they are. And I've been trying to find some like on Amazon, or
Mm-hmm.
even, what's that one new one, that Temu or whatever that app is called, even on there.
Children are making your shit. Like,
Exactly.
come on.
That's why I'm like, no,
I'm
not
good.
in my budget right now. But with creatine, if you truly want it to build your muscles, if you truly want it to help build strength in your body, you have to supplement with it.
Sure.
Your body's not going to do it itself. But that's, again, how we were saying, that's along with exercise, that's along with diet. Again, it's all connected.
Yeah.
So if you're not doing the work, if you're not putting in the effort, you're not going to see results. And the amount of times I have had people come into my work the very next day, oh, this didn't work. It didn't work.
Are you serious?
Absolutely. There's so many people, but we every customer that we have, we tell them like, this is not going to work overnight. It's not medicine. Medicine is formulated to be the most potent product out there.
Right.
It's going to work right away. Sometimes it can work within minutes, depending what kind of medicine it is. But when it's a natural supplement like this, it works over time. So a lot of people have the wrong idea with it, because they're like, oh, well, this didn't work. I took it yesterday. I'm returning it. It didn't work because it's not medicine. It's natural medicine. It takes time for your body to adjust it. It takes time for your body to recognize that supplement and be like, oh, this is new. Like, I can't let this in my body right away. You have to let it basically marinate in your body for like a week or so.
It has to look
for it to work.
There's got to be something for it to support.
Yeah.
If you're not giving it structure to support, it has nothing to support.
Yeah,
There's nothing that you can do.
absolutely.
Anyway, so I guess since we've spoken about, I guess, so much, how can we kind of tie it into a bow? Because there's a lot when it comes to fitness, especially for someone who doesn't know, and that can play a big role on their mental. And people who lack structure, if you have no structure in the gym, you don't come.
Yeah.
Because if you lack structure, it's going to be so hard. It's going to be so stressful. And, usually when you start, it is stressful. But it's almost like good because you're doing something good for yourself. But how can someone perhaps remedy that, I guess, that mental stress of, first off, stepping into the gym and getting there, and kind of like how the community can be, because we can be nice people. The gym can be nice people, but online people,
is like terrible.
in any community, online is bad. So how do you think somebody who is just getting into fitness can deal with that?
Well, the thing when it comes to fitness too, especially when you're starting out, there's a lot of anxiety, there's a lot of stress. I know all that too well. Like I was the type of person when I first started out, and I didn't wear makeup on purpose. I would wear it throughout the day, but I also purposely did not take it off because for me, makeup is a confidence booster. I don't wear it as much like I used to, but at the time it was a confidence booster. And I remember like I would see some people there that I knew and they would just be like, well, you look like you're just drawing attention. It's not an attention thing, it's a confidence thing. So people, when they're walking into the gym and you have people like that that just judge you right away, it makes you not want to go.
No.
So I feel like the biggest thing is mental preparation, and that can be anything. For me, what I would do is just like every day when I was preparing to start working out, I would just watch videos and I'd be like, this is the routine I'm going to do. I'm going to work out this day, do these exercises. That's going to be my routine. So as soon as I walk into the gym, I'm going to get that stuff done and get out. And that's about it. And I'm not the type of person to get I get distracted. I'm not going to lie. I get distracted.
We all do. Come on.
But I'm not the type of person to walk into the gym and just start talking to people because that's not what I'm there for.
Yeah.
And especially with gyms nowadays with the judgment that comes with it. Even Planet Fitness. Planet Fitness is judgment-free zone.
Kiss my ass.
You have people that judge
Kiss
all the time.
my butt. Look, I used to work at Planet Fitness.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, there was once or two times I got to do that little...
a little lunk alarm?
Yeah. So let me tell you a secret about the lunk alarm. It's not automatic. I get to turn it on and off.
Yeah.
So let me just say, if anyone does a lunk alarm on you...
It's intentional.
It's intentional. Stop doing that because everyone else is uncomfortable. Anyway, continue.
Continuing on. But that's what, for me, that's what I would do. And then this is going to be different from everybody. Some people can watch YouTube videos, make that routine, but that doesn't necessarily mean that's going to help with their anxiety or stress going to the gym. For me, it helped a little bit. But what also helped too is what I was wearing. Like, I wasn't wearing things because everyone else was wearing it. Like, in general, women wear leggings, a t-shirt, crop top, whatever you want to wear. Whatever makes you comfortable, do that.
Yeah.
And I feel like that was a big factor for me too, is wearing what was comfortable for me.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to walk into a gym, leggings on, with just a sports bra. Because to me, I'm a little bit insecure. We all get insecure. It's part of being human. Like we were saying before, there's no perfect person. Nobody's perfect. No situation is perfect. But for me, I don't want to walk in a gym with my stomach showing or anything. Because for me, I personally don't like walking around like that. Just because for me, it's a confidence thing. I don't have enough confidence for that. So for me, when I would go, and even now, I just put a t-shirt on, wear my favorite shoes that match my leggings, and then I go, because that's what makes me feel confident. Same thing with your hair. You want to do your hair a certain way, even if you want to put it into two little French braids, or say you want to put it up in a bun or straighten it, however you want to do it. Whatever like physical appearance makes you feel more confident, do it. Who cares what somebody else has to say?
And it's important for you to be comfortable because the gym is a very stressful environment with how it can be and everything. I think people need to start realizing that if the stress of getting a routine scares you, I'm pretty sure if you go to your doctor, they could help you.
Oh yeah.
And honestly, I like Reddit too.
I do. I've actually used Reddit for a few things, just like looking stuff up.
A lot.
It's actually pretty helpful, not gonna lie.
People are nice typically on Reddit. You know, Reddit is like opposite Twitter. You know what I mean? Fuck Twitter.
Yeah, I had Twitter. I deleted it because I got bored of it, and it was just stupid too. So pointless.
It's bad. But anyway, what else would be kind of like a way that people could be stressed out and kind of a fix? I think we kind of covered most of it, like what to do beforehand, what to do during, and there's really no after, because a journey like this is almost like with a significant other who you're down with forever. Like if you're looking for a future for this person, and that person is you, and the commitment to yourself is fitness, you should always be trying to one up. You always try to work for it, because listen, a relationship doesn't grow without trying to strengthen it always and working towards it and changing it up. It's really like a relationship. You know, sometimes your body can be non-responsive. Change up a movement maybe. There's so much resources out there.
Yeah, and even at the gym too, you can do so many things. Like, you don't have to restrict yourself to certain exercises, certain equipment. You can do anything at the gym. But I feel like what also helps too with like that stress and anxiety, have yourself a goal. Even if your goal is, so say you just started working out today and your goal is to do 5 minutes of the treadmill and maybe 1 or 2 exercises for, say you want to do your hamstrings and your glutes and calves, etc. If you want to do all that, give yourself a goal. Tell yourself, I'm going to do 2 sets of this many reps. And then the next day, I'm going to increase a set maybe.
Yeah.
Or maybe drop some of the reps I'm going to do. If you have yourself a goal, it eases stress because then you don't have to walk into the gym and worry about what exercise am I going to do?
It can be
what
scary.
muscle am I going to work? It is, and especially depending on the time of day you go to. Gyms typically are, well, I mean, I started going like during 3-4 o'clock, so like midday. But before, when I was going late at night, that's when they got super busy.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're super busy at like 1, 2 in the morning, because I think Planet Fitness is 24 hours, I think.
Yeah.
So I don't know how busy it is then.
Not really, no.
But usually like around between 10 o'clock and midnight, that's when that's the power hour. That's when everybody is there. So if it helps you, even if you have a schedule that you have to go late, if it helps you to go late at night, work out at home. There's nothing wrong with working out at home. There's so many exercises you can do at home with just simple equipment that you have. We had to adjust during the pandemic, and one of the things I did, and I know it sounds silly, we had this painting stick, so the ones where you attach the little brush onto it. I literally put like 2 full things of laundry detergent on both sides, use it as a deadlift.
Yeah.
You can do anything
I
with
did that
it.
too. I did a paint stick, and I did TheraBands
Yeah.
on either side. So your body doesn't know what the fuck movement you're doing.
Yeah.
It just knows that there is resistance.
Yeah.
And whatever the resistance may be with it would be bands or weight. It's all Greek.
It's all Greek. It's all Greek to me.
It's all
But yeah,
Greek.
like the other thing too is go during the day. Like if it works out with your schedule to go during the day, go between like honestly probably like what do you think, like 1-5 o'clock with the gyms. I feel like that's like
I like to go at noon.
Yeah,
I like to go to
like
noon one.
It's a decent range of time because like that's usually when people are at work or they're busy. So not a lot of people are at the gym.
That's true.
So if it works out for your schedule to go at that time, go early like that.
Of course.
It's less people. It's less stressful because I know all too well when you go in late at night, all those people in the gym. And
it's too clubby.
It's too clubby, but it's also like you walk in and you just feel like everybody's staring at you when they're not. So it's like it creates that stressful environment that doesn't need to be there.
It does. So
I was just gonna say, so it just it just depends on the person. It depends who you are. It depends what you want to do, but you have to do what works for you. Don't do things because someone else is. Like, don't go to the gym at 5 a.m. just because someone else goes at 5 a.m.
Exactly, because you don't want to be like feeling like shit because someone else goes early and you're like, well, I go later in the day or I wake up later. Listen, life is all about figuring out who you are. It's all about figuring out what you like the most. And too many people poke their nose in our business. So above all else, when it comes to the gym journey and our mental health, it's true that it when done correctly, it can improve your mental health so greatly. But there's a lot of mental stressors that can do with the gym that honestly can be fixed if you just stop listening to what there is around you. And I think that's the right answer. I think that's how we can solve the issue. Is that
absolutely?
How else do you really stop feeling so anxious about the gym? Well, why are you anxious?
Right.
You know, do we say everything that you'd like?
I feel like for the most part we did, but I feel like too we could touch on like the mind muscle connection type of thing. Because,
that's right.
Because that's one of the things we were talking about earlier. That's kind of like also
there. Now we can talk about that.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll start. So this is gonna be our last topic, but in philosophy, there's this great thing. It's called the mind-body problem. How is the relationship between our mind and our body? Are they connected? Are they separate? Do they work in unison? Does one not exist at all? I like to think that the mind and body are separate but work together in unison. And I think fitness is a very good way of proving that. But there's no real way of proving it, but I guess how everything interacts with each other in that way. Maybe touch on what you have and we can go through that.
Yeah, so where is the got it somewhere around here, mind muscle. Yeah, so here it is. So when it comes to mind muscle connection, it's exactly how you said, where they are two separate things, and I believe that too, but they do work together. It's like one of those things where you think it and you believe it, then it's true.
then it will be so.
Yeah. So when it comes to mind-muscle connection, they have what's called an internal focus and an external focus. So when it comes to internal focus, it's more about, like when you're talking about exercise, you're focusing more on the squeeze of the muscle, like when you're doing the actual exercise you're doing. So if you're doing Smith machine, for example, for squats, you're focusing more on when you finish that rep. So the squeeze at the top. So what you're actually doing when it's an internal focus, you're thinking about that muscle, you're thinking about what it's doing, and when you put your focus on that muscle, you can physically feel it doing its job.
Yeah.
It's almost the same thing like if you're working your back muscles. And the back is pretty big. There's a lot of muscles with it. You got your traps, you got your lats. It's a big muscle in the body. When you're focusing on a certain muscle on the back, so if we're talking about your traps, for example, when you're whatever exercise you want to do, I like to use the machines when I'm first starting out because I can kind of get the feel of what I'm doing before I start going to free weights. But of course, that's different for everybody. Everybody has their personal preference.
Sure.
But for me, when I'm doing it and I know what machine it is and I can see exactly what muscle it's working, in my head, I'm like, let me think of that muscle when I pull the machine back to work on it. And once I keep focusing on it and I keep thinking about that muscle, I eventually start to feel it right where I'm supposed to.
That's why our clear mind in the gym is the most important, and that's why kind of figuring out your purpose there, because like a lot of people move the weight and a lot of their attention is on what they're lifting, not what they're trying to target.
Exactly.
And sometimes they don't know what they're targeting either.
Well, that's kind of like too, like how we were saying earlier when we first started recording, when people go to the gym and they have that ego, a lot of them you'll see do crazy reps like 400 or 300 pounds, like something crazy like that. And there's nothing wrong with doing 1 rep max thing. What am I trying to say? 1 rep max. So basically what that is, it's how much weight and how many reps can you do?
Isn't that like more of like a PR kind of
Pretty
deal?
much, yeah. PR. But when a lot of people do it, they'll test out a 1 rep max. So say you want to do 350 pounds on a leg press and you just do 1 rep of it. And if you feel like, oh, maybe I can do 1 more, try it out. If you can't do it, that's okay. That means that's your limit.
That's silly because, like, listen, what about our time under tension?
Right, exactly.
Where's that?
Exactly. And that's why, too, I feel like a lot of people need to get to the point where they get rid of that ego, because that ego can only go for so long. Like, it's okay if you want to keep increasing your weight. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I feel like, honestly, when I'm working out and I can get up to a higher weight,
you feel crazy.
I think it's awesome.
You feel crazy.
Well, yeah, because it's like, oh, shit, I'm getting stronger. Like, my body's changing. It's getting better.
That's right.
But some people take it too far. And a lot of that you'll see with a lot of the bodybuilders, like the big beefcake ones, but which I'm sure a lot of people in that industry, they do use steroids.
Oh,
I mean,
sure.
it's a common thing, and no judgment there. A lot of people have to do it because like physically their bodies just can't.
You can't do it.
I mean, it just depends. It depends. It's all dependent on the person, but
I'm sure they would if they could.
Right. I wouldn't recommend it. Not gonna lie, I wouldn't recommend it. But you do what you gotta do. But I feel like too, that's also why a lot of those guys can lift so heavy because they're on steroids, and their body's so used to those.
That's
steroids.
where the ideal. Like,
yeah.
You can't do that.
You can't.
Stick to what you can do.
Exactly. But that kind of goes to like when we were talking about like the external focus too, how I was mentioning earlier when it comes to mind-muscle connection. When you have an external focus, you're holding that contraction. So sometimes when you see people working out and they have what's called like you hold the workout, like the movement.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to say, movement.
The motion,
yeah. When you hold it, it depends what you want to do, what you're working out. Like for me, if I'm doing a glute muscle, if I want to hold it, 2-3 seconds maybe. Some people do 1 to 2. But that's what the external focus is you're focusing on the contraction. And when you do that, it's the time under tension thing. Because then that's where you can feel the tension of it. It's kind of like when you... what was I going to say? So when you do the glute muscles, if you want to do squats or one of the... I forgot what those are called, where you like to lift your hip up. the movement.
Oh,
You know what I'm talking about?
hip thrusts.
Hip thrust, yeah. So
Yeah.
if you're doing a hip thrust, for example, and that's probably the easier way to be able to do a tension thing like that with
pausing
the
at
contractions.
like your
Yeah,
top. And also interesting you say that too. There's a lot strength. They told me this at physical therapy. Most of your strength is built in the resisting of the weight going down to your start
Yeah.
position. It's not you going to your where you would hold it. It's
Yeah.
resisting that. That's where a lot of your strength comes from, and that's where the building of that muscle comes from too.
yeah, absolutely, and that's why the mind muscle connection is important, because you have to do both of those things. That's how you're physically gonna feel the results. Like and it comes with form too. Like even with form, if your form is off, physically you can feel it. But if you think in your mind, okay, well, this is the muscle I'm going to work on. Let me think about that muscle, where it's located, what it's doing, and what it's supposed to do. The more you focus on it,
It gives it more power.
It gives it more power. It does. And everybody has a different perspective of how
Of course.
natural stuff like that works, but you can. I mean, it's all an individual thing. Like for me personally,
true.
I think it works. I've done it before, and it does. It does work. But don't let your ego take over and do too much.
And
When it comes to
that's where
mind,
biggest problem comes from.
that is because the mind muscle connection, when you really want to make sure you're focusing on the right muscle, you want to start off with a low weight and lower reps, because you want to get your body used to doing that repetition, that movement. And then at some point, once your form is good, once your movement is good, increase your weight, increase your reps.
That's true.
It takes time. It's baby steps. It's not a overnight journey. It's a long journey.
Right. And
It's not like
it
they
takes
say.
time.
It's not a sprint. It's a what's that? What's
It's
that
not
saying?
it's a jog. That's not the right word.
No, you know what I'm talking about though. Like where they say like
Yeah.
it's not a sprint. It's a mile or something like that.
Rome wasn't built in a day.
That
And
too.
the form of your physique is not built in a day either. And don't let that discourage you. The gym is a beautiful place where a lot of beautiful things can happen, where you learn more about who you are. And how often you go, all the semantics of it, you'll find out along the way. Just as you learn how to drive a car, you figure it out as you do it. And there's not so much pressure and stress initially doing it. It just takes time. So what I can leave you with is that it might be stressful. It's true. Your diet, your training, it's hard. And there's so much, like what Foula and I just talked about, there's a lot. There is a lot. But we've been going for years.
Yeah.
Many, many years. And we don't know this without the struggles that we've been through. Like we were where you are if you haven't done so much, or maybe we're in the same spot. Who knows? Who knows who's watching this? I hope somebody is.
Hopefully somebody is. Maybe they can. Hopefully they learn a thing or two. Cause and we touched. Honestly, I feel like we touched on a lot of good things.
Me too.
But when it comes to fitness and health, there's so much to it. Like it's got a full range of information.
It's your body, you
It
know. Like
is.
it's
Yeah.
you. It's the individual. There's blood is everywhere. It's like you're
a blood
complex.
rush. It's an adrenaline
You're
rush.
a
It's
complex
like-
person. It's
yeah.
not. Nothing is simple when it comes to the body. And listen, if going to the gym is your hobby, thank God. But the body is so complex, and anything having to do with that, like obviously your medicine, the gym. It doesn't get simple. It doesn't get any simpler. It won't be.
Yeah, and it's kind of like with the simplicity of it, it's like it seems simple, but it's also complex. Like when it comes to working out, you have different supplements today. People take creatine, BCAAs, protein. It all works together to help build your muscles.
Yeah.
But it's not as simple as just saying take this, take this. There's more to it.
It's a lot more to it,
So
you guys.
I
It's a
feel
lot
like
more
that'd
to
be
it.
like a good like separate video, like supplements.
I think
and
so
stuff
too.
Like that.
I think so too because.
Because there's just so much that you could talk about with that.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, for sure. Look, there's so much you can talk about when it comes to this, but don't let this freak you out. Listen, the gym is meant to help your mental health, not to freak you out. And don't let these influencers, I guess, influence your decisions. It's all based on you. You wouldn't have an influencer tell you what you should do medically. So, and this is not far from it. It's your health. It's your life. It's honestly, if you work out well enough and you do it long enough, your heart becomes stronger. It becomes healthier. It's not a game. It's truly your lifestyle and your health. So never take it lightly, but it's fun and it should be taken a little lightly, not too seriously. How some
Yeah.
people, you know them.
Gotta
Anyway.
be passionate about it.
Oh yeah.
It's kind of like your job. Like if you don't like your job, it's because you're not passionate about it. Same
Mm-hmm.
thing with the gym. You got to have that passion to physically feel better,
Yeah.
to mentally feel better, to
Absolutely.
emotionally feel better. Like
Absolutely.
you have to have that passion, that determination, that discipline to do it all.
That's true. Well, I hope you guys have gotten something useful from this. It's the first time you've been on. Hopefully, I can have you on in the future. Where can
Hopefully.
people find you?
For me, I'm always all over the computer, but like how we were talking about earlier, I actually do plan on starting to post some YouTube videos. So for YouTube, you can just find me at Foula Tourikis. You can probably link it down below.
I'll link it down below.
It's a long spelling. Greeks have long names, not gonna lie, and
That's
that's just
true.
a nickname. If I tell you my full name, it doesn't fit on the line.
I know.
But
I know.
you can also follow me at Meta Health on Instagram. I am going to start posting workouts on there, lifestyle stuff, diet, just everything. Because I finally found what I actually want to share with people. So that's where you can get all that kind of information from.
That's good. So if you like what Foula has to say, give her a follow. We're trying to make it in this world. Listen.
And make sure you guys subscribe to Stavros because he's got a good podcast going. Like,
Thank
this
you.
guy's going to go far. Like,
Thank you.
guaranteed.
That's,
You're
thank you. That's so
gonna be
sweet.
successful. Like I can see it already.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
To see the where I'm recording now and maybe looking at where I could be in the future.
It's kind of like the fitness. We all start
Yeah.
somewhere. It's a journey.
That's true, and to even have this room is fantastic.
Yeah.
But anyway, I digress. I'll catch you on the flip side. I'll see y'all later with the new episode coming real soon. Kisses.